Hey, pals, welcome back to the Nourished Soul podcast. We are back on camera this week and on the microphone. So, whether you are listening to the podcast or if you are watching over on YouTube, I am just so grateful and thankful to have you here. If you have not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel Nourished Soul with Stephanie, I would really appreciate if you just took 1 second out of your day, clicked the link down in the show notes that says subscribe to the channel. And even if you never watch a video, honestly, just doing that little click and subscribing really does help me out in such a big way. And it's free. So I would really appreciate if you took a moment just to do that. But today's episode is something that is truly near and dear to my heart. This is really essentially what this rebrand has been all about. And it's what I've seen with my clients over the years, that there's this piece of us that just goes unnoticed and neglected. And yes, we need to take the actions and have the behaviors that are going to get us to a healthy lifestyle, to some weight loss if that's what we really desire. But I think that something that often gets overlooked is the spiritual side of this journey, on what that actually means and why that is the missing link. Because over the last 5 to 10 years, we know that it's the physical, yes, but we've also heard how important mindset is, and having these mindset shifts and having a growth mindset and a positive mindset. And yes, again, that is part of the equation, but nobody talks about the spiritual side of this journey, about what that means, about why that's important, and why that is possibly the piece that is keeping you stuck and keeping you in all or nothing patterns and keeping you in that place where you're just going through the motions again and again until the wheels come off and suddenly you're right back where you started. So we are going to really tease this apart in today's episode. I just ask that you listen with an open mind and an open heart, even if you are a skeptic. We are also going to shine a light on the scientific reasoning behind the importance of having a spiritual and soul-led lifestyle. This isn't just the woo, okay? It's so much deeper than that. And I think that we've all been there before. I mean, let's just think of a moment that I know I have seen played out 100 times, that I have played out myself 100 times, and maybe you've been there yourself. You start the week with a plan, right? Like, I'm getting back on track. It's Monday. Here I go. I've got all of the things in the house. I'm ready. And you know what to eat. You've meal prepped. You are ready to, quote unquote, be good this week. I'm going to be so good this time. I'm going to follow through with it this time. I'm going to be so disciplined and consistent. And then something happens. Maybe it's stress from work. Maybe it's some sort of family drama or friend drama. Maybe you're just tired and exhausted and overscheduled or overbooked, or feeling like you're barely just keeping your head above water. And then your brain whispers, we'll just start again tomorrow. We can just start again tomorrow, or, after the weekend, because I've already made a mistake, I've already fucked up. I'll have all the things, really get it out of my system, right? Like, I'll have all of the junk food, the carbs, the sugar, whatever the thing is, and then we'll start again on Monday. Because for Monday, I'll have a plan. And you listen to that voice and you tell yourself that you lack discipline, that you lack willpower, or that you just need to try harder next time. You get frustrated with yourself because you know what you should be doing. You just can't seem to do it. But what if I told you that it has nothing to do with discipline at all? Most of the people that I have coached know exactly what to do to lose weight. They know what to do. The amount of times I'm like, we should do that. And they're like, I know. Like, I know. Right? They've read the books. They've tracked the macros. They know the rules. Some of them have even been like certified in nutrition or training or therapy or whatever. They could tell you how many carbs are in a cup of broccoli or a low carb avocado toast without even Googling it, without even putting it in any sort of tracking app, right? Like they know. And I've had so many clients that are like this, and I've seen it come up so many times online. And the thing is, the problem isn't the knowing. It's the doing, especially in the messy, emotional, real life moments. Here's the thing that no one talks about. You can master every single diet rule out there, but if you're not connected to yourself on a deeper level, the part of you that knows what you truly need, that can self-regulate and self-resource when the stress hits, that can totally trust yourself to follow through, you'll just end up in the same place again and again and again. So it's not about the rules. It's not because you don't know enough. It's because you're so disconnected from a deeper part within you that actually trusts themselves, that actually knows how to recognize when stress hits to downregulate that stress so that you're better able to make choices that align with what you want, with your goals. And because we spend absolutely no time dealing with that part, that's when we end up on this diet merry-go-round without ever getting off. And that deeper side, that deeper level, that is the spiritual side to weight loss. And it's the missing link for so many people. And I don't mean like the spiritual side of weight loss in like a total woo-woo, have to burn incense, chant your weight away, total granola girl. Like it doesn't have to be that kind of way. I mean, it can be if that floats your boat. I mean, I love that side of it, but that's not really what I'm talking about here. It doesn't have to be down the entire woo, witchy, mystical, spiritual rabbit hole. Okay? What I really am referring to is a grounded, practical way that changes everything about how you approach your health. So today we are going to explore what that really means, why it's the missing piece that might be keeping you stuck, and how to start pulling that piece in, how to start bringing that into your journey, whether you are counting carbs or calories, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, or you're just trying to feel healthier and good in your body again. So let's just take a second and really shine a light on what I mean by spiritual in this context. Because when I use the word spiritual in the context of weight loss, I know for some people out there, alarm bells start going off. Like you start conjuring these images of a sage smoke filled room and chanting over green juices or just manifesting the number on the scale magically dropping, right? Like, and while there's nothing wrong with your personal rituals, if you love them, that's not what I'm talking about here. The kind of spirituality I'm talking about is so much simpler than that and much more practical. If you are like a logically, practically inclined person, this still applies to you. And honestly, it is much more rooted in science than most people even realize. So let's start with what it actually means here in this context. The first thing, what I really want us to focus on when you hear the word spiritual, let's put the woo aside unless you're into it, which to each their own. What it means in this context, the first one is connection. Tuning into your body's cues instead of outsourcing every decision to an app, to a diet plan, to a macro chart, to the rules. It's really about being able to connect to yourself. What do I need right now? What do I need in this moment? And it doesn't have to even be food related. What do I need emotionally? Right? Because so often when we're turning to food to cope, it's because there's some deeper emotional distress going on. We're just using it to numb out. It's not because we're actually hungry. So the first one is connection, whether that's connecting to our physical hunger, whether that's connecting to our emotions, instead of outsourcing that, instead of turning away from that. The next one, number 2, is trust. Believing that your body is not the enemy. And trusting that when you give it what it truly needs, when you honor it, when you make choices that align with it, it will work with you, not against you. And really trusting in that and developing this partnership, this relationship built on trust between you and your body. Number 3, resourcing. Having simple, accessible tools to regulate your stress, to process your emotions, and return to a state where you can make aligned choices. So often, like I said, we focus on the actions, on the physical things, on the rules. And I've heard a million times on social media, with friends, with clients, I have intermittent fasting is a tool in my tool belt, or tracking macros is a tool in my tool belt. I might not use it all the time, but I know how to do it. And I am comfortable and confident that when I apply those tools, I start to lose weight. I start to feel better. I start to feel more in control, right? How much time have you spent developing and learning your resourcing tools so that you can regulate your stress, so that you're not reaching for food when emotion takes over, when stress takes over after a long day, after a long week, right? Like, if we know that the number one thing that usually drives us to fall off our plan or to binge over the weekend or whatever the thing is because we're tired, we're stressed, we're emotional, we're burnt out, why are we not spending any time developing these accessible tools for ourselves so that we can resource ourselves? And number 4 is alignment. Making choices that match how you actually want to feel long term, instead of just chasing that short-term relief. So the first one's connection, second one is trust, third one is resourcing, and number 4 is alignment. This isn't about ignoring science. It's about working with it. Because for any of the skeptics out there, here's what science has to say. When you are chronically stressed, your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight. Your body releases cortisol, which not only makes it harder to lose fat, but it increases cravings for quick energy, usually in the form of sugar or highly refined carbs. It also impacts your sleep, your digestion. It also disrupts your hunger and your fullness hormones like leptin and ghrelin. So that's why you can have the perfect meal plan in front of you and still find yourself in front of the fridge or in front of the cupboard at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. at night. Spiritual practices, things like breath work, mindful eating pauses, visualization, grounding, are not fluffy extras. They are ways to signal to your nervous system, we are safe, you can relax. And when your nervous system shifts out of survival mode, your body can regulate hunger. Your digestion improves, your sleep improves, and your decision-making ability shifts from reactive to intentional. So, yeah, it's spiritual. It is fucking spiritual, okay? In the sense that it connects you to yourself on a deeper level. But it's also biological. You are literally creating the internal conditions for your body to respond to your efforts, instead of feeling like you're just constantly fighting this uphill battle. So here is the piece that most people miss. This isn't something you earn after you've lost the weight. Okay? I'm going to say that again. I really want that to land. This isn't something you earn after you've lost the weight. This is something you start to build now. Having these tools are just as important as the foods that you're eating. Being able to regulate and resource yourself in stressful times is just as important. Because learning to connect and trust and align with yourself is what actually makes those results last. And makes you actually enjoy living them. Could you imagine actually enjoying yourself along a weight loss journey? It is absolutely possible. We're just spending so much time focusing on the wrong thing. We're focusing on the stuff we already know and getting ourselves all flustered about it and gripping onto it, when we can simply trust that we know the rules to follow them, that we know the foods that make us feel our best. So what if we spent more time focusing on the things that will make it easier for me to make those choices in those hard moments, in the moments that pull me off my path? What if we spent our energy focusing there? So why is this the missing link for so many people? And let's tie it back sort of to that story I mentioned at the beginning, because I've seen it happen over and over and over again. And maybe you recognize yourself in it, right? Like you start out strong, you've got the plan, you're tracking, you're committed, and for a while, it works, right? Like the weight starts to come off, your clothes start to feel looser, you're feeling really proud of yourself. But then something happens. Life happens. A stressful week at work, an unexpected expense, a vacation, a family gathering where all your old comfort foods are front and center and you're like, Aunt Gladys is peer pressuring you to eat all the things, right? Because she only made it for you or whatever. Suddenly, that structure that you're relying on starts to crack. And because you are only leaning on this physical plan, with maybe the odd little mindset pep talk sprinkled in, there's nothing deeper holding you steady. Without that deeper connection, here's what tends to happen. You default back to your old coping patterns whenever the stress hits. You start making choices from a place of, oh, I can't have that. I'm not allowed to have this. Or I've blown it anyway, so I might as well. Instead of tuning into what actually feels best for your body. And then you judge yourself for it, right? Like you judge yourself for every little minor slip, which then just erodes your self-trust even more. It becomes a cycle. Strict, then slip, then shame. And you keep telling yourself the answer is to try harder. You keep internalizing and beating the shit out of yourself for why you can't do it like you did the first time. Or, I know what I should be doing, I just can't do it. When in reality, the missing piece actually isn't more rules. It's more relationship with yourself. Now, let's just flip that coin, and here's what it could look like when we have sort of this spiritual side present in the process. Stress happens because that's life, and it's still going to happen. Just because we're talking things spiritual doesn't mean life is suddenly light and laughter 24/7. It's not reality. So stress still happens, but you have tools to regulate your nervous system. So you're not making decisions out of fight or flight. You can actually tell the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger. You've been able to tap into yourself and have that level of discernment, and you know how to respond to each of those without any guilt. You trust that taking a rest day, or taking things off your to-do list, or slowing down, or choosing a meal that feels really satisfying and grounding to you instead of just the perfect macros isn't actually a failure. It is self-alignment. You can bounce back from any off day without spiraling, because your worth isn't riding on perfection. The spiritual side is what turns your healthy habits from something that you do into just part of who you are. And without it, even the best plan in the world will eventually feel like you're just holding it together with duct tape. So, how do we bring this spiritual side into a health journey, into a weight loss journey? If this is feeling like it's resonating with you, if you have been down that dieting path a million times before and you just can't seem to figure out why you can't stick to it, you might be wondering, like, well, where do I even start with all of this? Right? So I'm going to break it down into two groups of people. Okay. We've got our beginners, our spiritual beginners, people that maybe have never just considered this or this spiritual connection before. And then those that maybe do have some things, but maybe have just let it slip over time. So if this is totally new to you, I want you to start so simple that your brain can't even tell you this is too much work, or that this is silly, or that I don't have time for this, right? Because we will focus all of our attention on the action parts, right? On the meal plan, on the thing, and that's great. We need to do that. But this is the piece that we will just let slip when we're tired, when we just don't want to. So it has to be so simple. It has to be easily accessible so that when your brain starts to run that narrative, this is too much work, I don't have time for this, what's 5 minutes even going to do, right? Like, this is where we can just shut it down, because think of these really as 5-minute or less practices. And I can promise you, you spend more time scrolling your phone than taking 5 minutes to just do one of these practices a day. And just let yourself do it. Okay? The first one is simply pause before eating. I've talked about practicing the pause a million times on this podcast. However, this is really simplifying that whole process even. This is simply just pause before eating. Take 3 deep breaths. Ask yourself, what does my body actually need right now? Notice the answer. Even if you still choose something different from what you planned, you're building that awareness. You're taking the time to touch in with yourself for just a second so that it shifts us out of autopilot and into a conscious choice. Number 2, 1 grounding moment a day. It literally could be sipping your morning coffee without your phone. It could be standing outside, getting the sunshine in your eyes just for a few minutes. It could literally just be putting your hand on your heart, closing your eyes, and noticing your breath. It can literally be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be this big drawn out ritual practice that's like an hour of your day. This is just taking these little micro moments to connect back to yourself. Another one is an end of day check-in. Before bed, or maybe when you get home from work, asking, what's one way that I honored my body today? It's not about perfection, but it's about noticing the moments that you did connect. And these may feel too simple, but that's kind of the point, because it's not about overhauling everything overnight. It's about starting to create little pockets, little micro moments where you come back to yourself. That is the foundation for more deeper work later. And it'll allow you to feel good about yourself, that you're following through, that you are developing these new tools that are just going to help you so much along the way. If you have some spiritual practices that you enjoy, but perhaps they have just drifted away for a minute, you already know how to connect with yourself. You know how powerful that can be. You know the impact it can have. You've felt it before. Now it's about rebuilding it with intention. Here are some simple just reminders for you. Revisit your why. I mean, we have heard that statement a million times, right? Know your why. I have to know why I want to do this weight loss journey. But make it current. Don't just rattle off the same stuff you've been saying for like 10 years when you've gone back and forth and flip-flop on and off and lost weight and gained weight, right? Like, touch into where you are now, the season that you're in now. Meet yourself where you're at and revisit why this is meaningful for you. Because sometimes we just keep chasing the same goal without asking if it even still fits with who we are now. Write down your present day reasoning for wanting to feel better in your body. Number 2, choose one return to self ritual that you used to love. Just remember what it was for you that you really enjoyed, whether it was journaling or a certain meditation practice or a Sunday night bath or whatever it is. Don't overthink it. Just bring back one thing into your days or weeks. Number 3, anchor your choices in alignment, not the rules. Before we make a decision about food or movement or rest, ask, is this choice aligned with how I want to feel tomorrow? That really puts you in the decision-making place for your future self. And the thing about the future self, the thing about being this person we want to become, being in this body that we want, that gets activated in the present moment, in the choices that you're making in this moment. It's not something we put off and just hope that one day we'll get there. It's activated in the present. So is this choice aligned with how I want to feel tomorrow? Is this beautiful question that is tying those together. And it really just shifts you from being reactive to being more intentional almost instantly. So whether you are starting fresh or reconnecting with what you already know works for you, the key is consistency, small steps over intensity. Spiritual connection is not a checkbox. Okay, this is not something that we're just adding on our never-ending to-do list. That just sucks the vibes like right out of it. It's not just like, well, I did my meditation, but like I felt nothing through it. I didn't feel resourced. It didn't help me tap back into myself because I was just doing it so I could check a box and say I did it. That carries such a different energy. So spiritual connection isn't a checkbox. It's about how you're moving through your day. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes to make choices that actually support your health. Not just your weight loss goal, but your health and your overall happiness and your overall well-being. If you have been following or listening for a while now, you might remember when my whole brand was the Keto Success Coach. I was all about helping women use keto to lose weight, to feel better, to keep it off. And honestly, keto, low carb can still be an amazing tool. I still use it with clients when it's the right fit for them. The science is solid. It allows people to feel their best, and it can absolutely deliver results. But over time, I started to notice something. The people who thrived long term weren't the ones who just nailed their macros or never touched a carb again. They were the ones who actually learned through life experiences, through their mistakes, and the ones who learned to tune into their bodies and manage their stress in real time and to trust themselves to make aligned choices, to make choices that just let them feel good, even when life got busy, even when life got messy. And I realized for myself and for my clients that keto wasn't the answer. It was just part of the answer. And that is why my work started to expand beyond just the food on your plates and really to include the emotional and mental and, yes, the spiritual side of creating a lifestyle that you can actually live with. So now with Nourished Soul with Stephanie, my mission is to help you approach your health in a way that feeds your body and your soul. It's not about doing it all right. It's not about following any plan perfectly. It's just unrealistic. This is about learning the skills and the self-trust to feel good in your body no matter what life throws your way. And here's the beautiful part. When you take care of yourself on that deeper level, the physical results often come more easily. And they actually last because your lifestyle becomes a vibe, because it's something that you actually enjoy. And it's because you have built the foundation from such a strong place from the inside out, not the other way around. So if you're sort of nodding along with today's episode or feeling like you know what to do, but you can't seem to stay consistent, or like something's just missing from your health journey, your weight loss journey, I want you to know that there's a different way to approach it. And that's exactly why I created my coaching program, because this program goes beyond food. Yes, we get clear on all of the ways of eating that would actually feel best and work for you in your life. Absolutely, we do that. But we also dig into the stress patterns, the emotional triggers, and the self-trust skills that make the difference between short-term results and an actual lifestyle you can sustain. Because when your lifestyle is realigned, when your body and your mind and your soul are all working together, everything else starts to fall into place. The weight loss becomes easier. Making the choices doesn't feel so hard anymore. I know that today's conversation may have stretched you to think about weight loss and your health in a new way. Maybe you haven't thought of it before or considered it. Maybe part of you is thinking, this makes so much sense, but it's so different from how I've approached this in the past. And I want you to know that's okay. In fact, that's a really good sign. It means that you're starting to see that there's more to this than just the food or the number of workouts that you get that week or how much water you drink or how long you intermittent fast or the amount of steps you do in a day, right? Like, it's about the relationship you have with yourself. And if you take nothing else from this episode, let it be this. You are allowed to care for yourself on every level. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and yes, spiritually. That connection with yourself isn't extra or woo-woo. It's actually the glue that holds everything else together. You can have the perfect plan on paper. But if you don't have the deeper alignment, you'll always feel like you're fighting yourself. And the truth is, you don't need to wage war against your mind or your body anymore. My hope is that something you heard today just sparks a shift in you. Maybe you start pausing before your meals or check in with how you actually want to feel tomorrow before you make a choice today. Maybe you pick up an old ritual or routine that you used to do that just makes you feel so grounded. Do not underestimate the power of small shifts. That's what creates big momentum. And whether you decide to take me up on my offer and do this together, or you simply start with one shift this week, I want you to remember you already have everything you need inside of you to create a life of health and happiness in the body that you want. This is just about learning how to access that part of you so that you can listen to it and trust it and take action from that place. All right, pals. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I can't wait to hear how you start bringing more of this deeper connection into your own journey. Until next time, take care of your body, nourish your soul, and we will see you in the next one.